right? If the Steelers need a quarterback. And this is the day. I mean, Shefty said earlier this morning, for those just joining us, he thinks we could hear something on Malik Willis as soon as today.
Yeah.
If they want to play in that market, I don't know that they do or they don't. If they want to play in that game, they need something from Rodgers sooner, not later, right?
You would think, unless they're content with Will Howard as a fallback or someone else in the draft either this year or next year. Haven't heard anything on the Steelers quarterback situation other than it sounds like, they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, and it sounds like that probably works out. But to your point, if they aren't 100% sure Aaron Rodgers is coming back, they should be playing around on some of these other guys. I just haven't heard that they are.
They have to. You can't do what they did last year and wait. And to Aaron Rodgers' credit, he said it, like a contract hasn't been offered. So it's not like the ball's in his court and they're just waiting around. But if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're not sure whether he's going to play or not, you have to get in conversations, whether you like Malik Willis or not. But with the quarterbacks that are now available, whether that's Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, you can go down the list of guys.
Or if you're not into those guys, like there's another veteran group, like Kirk Cousins might be waiting around to see if a situation like that comes open. Joe Flacco, guys like that. So maybe they're reaching out to guys like that to see where they're headed.
There could be other alternatives, but again, Shefty told us earlier this morning, expect something on Malik Willis as soon as today. Next stop, Shefty, is Philadelphia. We've been leading up to this for what feels like forever on A.J. Brown. Now the day has finally arrived. What are you hearing?
I think there's ongoing conversation, and here's how you have to look at it. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you're going to trade A.J. Brown, there are a couple of windows in which to do it. One would be today or tomorrow before any of these huge free agents sign. If you want to jump in and get any of these free agents, you would like to have clarity on the A.J. Brown situation and what it's going to cost to move on from him and whether you have that cash flexibility or not. Now, if they don't make a move, obviously that could hinder them in free agency. They could opt to hold on to him and trade him right before June 1. They could designate him a post-June 1 trade move and agree with the team if there's a lot of ways this still can go. And I think all along the Eagles have been waiting to get an offer that they can't refuse, much like the Raiders were waiting for an offer that they couldn't refuse on Max Crosby. It came together Friday night. We'll see if there's an offer that comes together that the Eagles can't refuse on A.J. Brown today.
Well, Dan, with the Bills making the, I think, aggressive move of trading for DJ Moore last week, we would assume that takes them out of this conversation. So I feel like a lot of eyes are on New England here. If you're the Patriots, Dan, should they be moving heaven and earth to try and get A.J. Brown?
I would not if I was New England. If I was New England, I'd rather pay Alec Pierce $90 million over 3 years than take the assets that I have and go all in with A.J. Brown. A.J.'s still a very good player, but watching what New England did in the draft last year, to think that you're going to give up a first and maybe a second or something in the future to go after A.J. Brown, I just think that they're better suited to continue to build their football team with those draft picks. You're not as close as you thought you were last year because of the schedule that was a benefactor. And still, while A.J. is still really good, if I'm New England, I want those picks. I want to continue to build this roster for the foreseeable future. Greeny, your point, Buffalo was a likely team, they're not anymore. Baltimore was a likely team, they're not anymore. So if you're the Eagles and A.J. Brown, it really feels like, all right, New England, I just stated where I would stand. And I'd throw two teams out there that might be sleepers. The Los Angeles Chargers and the Houston Texans. If I were either of those teams, I think I'm a little bit more inclined to be aggressive in that situation, more so than New England.
Shefty.
Yeah, and Dan brought up Alec Pierce and the Patriots. I know a lot of people all around New England have been waiting to see whether Alec Pierce winds up with the Patriots. And we'll see how the day unfolds. I would just say this right now at 9:10 a.m. on Monday morning. I would be surprised if Alec Pierce winds up in New England with the Patriots. To me, I'm not seeing that. We'll see how the day unfolds. There's a lot of things that change very quickly. But in that situation, to me, it sounds like the Patriots are on the outside looking in.
Dan.
I think the Patriots have to be careful and assess who they actually are. To Orlovsky's point, that the schedule was part of the reason they landed in the Super Bowl. Like, they are probably not as far along in their development as a franchise as the Super Bowl appearance indicates. So don't go too 2025 Washington Commanders on us and feel like you're one piece away.
Right.
My advice to the Patriots would be to continue building, and I think this is a lot like what Orlovsky's saying, continue building the way you already were. Like, let's pretend you had lost in the second round of the playoffs and continue the plan that you had going into last offseason.
And on the other side of it, the A.J. Brown piece of it, if you're A.J. Brown, do you start to look at this situation and say, you know what, like, after last season, going into this offseason, maybe I was excited about what new scenery may look like. But this last probably month that we've talked about it, seems like the teams are almost narrowing down where we're talking about New England,
Yeah.
and what you're saying, Dan, and what Dan O is saying, it almost seems like if I'm A.J. Brown, I'm contacting Philly and Howie, and I'm saying, you know what, like, I'm okay here. I can work this thing out with Jalen Hurts because I'm not so sure the options we're talking about puts him in a better position than what he has in Philly.
And Shefty referenced it, that the Eagles would benefit cap-wise by waiting until after June 1st to trade him. You can't designate someone a post-June 1st trade like you can with a release. You have to actually wait till after June 1st to do it. But then you don't get 2026 draft picks is the difference. Of course, everybody likes the 2027 draft, so maybe that becomes a realistic thing for the Eagles.
Let me get a 30-second question into Shefty here. You mentioned you expect Malik Willis today. Do you expect Trey Hendrickson today?
That's a tricky question. I would say this, that Trey Hendrickson is one of the, if not the top pass rusher on the market. I think he's 31. We saw Daniil Hunter get huge money last week, a one-year extension worth over $40 million. I think Trey Hendrickson obviously is going to command and demand a lot of money, and I don't know that he's going to be willing to settle right away. So if there's a team that's going to meet his price, yes, we'll see action today. If not, I think he's determined. He feels like he's worked awfully hard to put himself into this position, and he's willing to wait to get the deal that he feels like he deserves and is fair.
See, a lot of my Bears friends are interested in that one. There's a lot of teams looking in his direction.
31 years old, so the question is going to be, how long do you want to go on the deal? Like, there are probably teams that would do a big money one-year deal with Trey Hendrickson, but he may be looking for more than that. Exactly.
He waited forever for this moment. He's going to take advantage of it. And then there are the quarterbacks. We touched on it at the beginning there with Tua and with Malik Willis. What quarterback chaos will begin as soon as free agency starts today. The questions will be about the Vikings, Kansas City, looking to get back to the Super Bowl. What's one big move that could help them?
Yeah, sign the Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker Jr. This is a run game in Kansas City that has just declined over the past couple of years and was one of the least explosive run games in the NFL last season. Mahomes, ACL, going to have to miss some time, more than likely next year. Go sign a dynamic young running back to improve your run game, become more balanced on offense.
Let's go to the Commanders. They took a step back last year after making the Final Four. What's something that might help them? J-Mac.
I would like to see him bring Stefon Diggs home. Bring back a guy that is a veteran receiver on the outside and what he can do for Jaden Daniels. You're not expecting to sign him to a long-term deal, but you can bring in a Diggs and watch what he did for Drake May a year ago. Over 1,000 yards and being a security blanket for a young receiver, a guy that you can trust, that is short-handed, that will make big catches on third down.
And then finally, one I feel like we've been talking about forever, and finally the time is here. Graziano, Vikings, what are they doing about quarterback?
I think I would go with Kyler Murray if I were them, and I think he's part of their calculus along with Geno Smith and maybe some other guys. But Kyler Murray on a minimum salary deal because he has offset language, and the Cardinals are paying him $37 million no matter what this year. This feels like a good bet for a team in the Vikings position to make. They aren't fully ready to give up on J.J. McCarthy, but they also don't want to just sort of say, hey, J.J., you're our starter, you're our guy week one. Veteran to come in and at least challenge him, if not beat him out.
Shefty, take us through that. Let's start with Kyler Murray and the rest of the quarterbacks today. And is Minnesota a place that you're looking at?
Yeah, that would certainly be a place where he would be interested and they would be interested. But the thing with Kyler Murray here is that, again, he's on that veteran minimum deal because the Cardinals owe him $36.8 million. So he can essentially pick where he wants to go to rehab himself, so to speak, and put himself in the type of position that other quarterbacks have. If we remember, Baker Mayfield wound up with the Rams, claimed on waivers before he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We saw Sam Darnold go to the 49ers, Vikings, Seahawks. We've seen Daniel Jones rehab in Minnesota before going to Indy. Kyler is looking for the right fit. And what he feels like he wants, he probably will have a good option to choose. But again, he's not officially released until 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, when he can then go make a deal at that point in time.
But help me with that and help a lot of the fans with that, Shefty. We all assume, I think fans all assume, despite the fact that he's not officially released until Wednesday, that at minimum these conversations begin the moment the Cardinals tell him, right? So they're talking right now. You'll be hearing things about him as soon as today, right?
And by the way, when a team announces under the current CBA that they're moving on from a player, that player is allowed to have conversations even if they have not processed the release. So yes, of course Kyler Murray is talking to teams, and of course he's going to be curious to see how this quarterback carousel plays out here today, tomorrow, and in the coming days. And again, I think he's going to have a host of options because essentially you're paying him $1.3, $1.4 million. So every team that's out there, why would you not want a quarterback who was the former #1 overall pick, who's put up rushing and passing numbers at this point in his career, whether you like him or not, that are comparable to what Cam Newton and Josh Allen put up? Again, Kyler Murray has detractors, he's got supporters, but the numbers and stats are there, and most of all, he's got a very, very friendly cap situation where you essentially get him this year for free.
Orlovsky, go.
Kyler is going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings. We can figure out, look at all this and sit there and say, he's going to be the next guy. If you're Kyler Murray and you're going to get released and you're looking at the landscape, where else would you want to go that even sniffs Minnesota? Don't want to go to Pittsburgh, don't want to go to the Jets, don't want to go to Cleveland, not going to go to Atlanta. So at the places that are options in Miami, Minnesota is by far the best option. And then if you're Minnesota, who sniffs Kyler? Malik Willis, because he's in division, is not going to go there, okay? He's not going to sign a free agency. So Geno Smith, I love Geno, but you'd much rather have Kyler. Kirk Cousins, got a lot of love and respect for Kirk. You'd much rather have Kyler Murray. So we don't have to overthink this. Kyler Murray is going to be the starting quarterback for the Vikings this season, unless J.J. McCarthy unseats him.
I love Orlovsky.
Start your fantasy draft now.
Schefter's sitting there like, what do you need me for? Dan's got it, right? Like, he's already going to be the Vikings quarterback.
But it does make sense. You just
suggested it, too. It makes a lot of sense for the price. Look, you're going to spend $20, $25 million a year on Malik Willis, who, best case, is probably Kyler Murray,
right?
Or you're going to sign Kyler Murray for $1.3 million, and then maybe see if that helps J.J. McCarthy, or if you decide you want to move on from J.J. McCarthy.
It makes so much sense, and I think the J.J. McCarthy of it all is interesting because you hear people say if they do sign Kyler Murray, that means J.J. McCarthy is done in Minnesota, and I think what Dan O just said is there's a chance that even if they do sign Kyler Murray, who's to say that J.J. McCarthy couldn't potentially beat him out? So I think all of that quarterback room will be very interesting getting Kyler Murray because with J.J. McCarthy, what he does with it all, his opportunity may be slimming, but it's still going to be there, and it may be a fun